Welcome to Testing UI 2021. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Welcome Bipin Jain, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with Testing UI community. We are very excited that you are joining us today in this testing packed week. So Bipin, whenever you are ready, we are on board, and thank you very much.
Welcome all. You already know my name now. It's Bipin Jain. I hope everyone is doing well in this pandemic times. I'm pretty excited talking to you all in this testing UI conference. I am trying to be part of this conference for almost last 3 years, but when I got a chance, I couldn't travel because of this pandemic. But I'm sure next year or maybe next to next year, I will definitely come if given a chance. So very quickly about me. So I am working as a delivery manager with metacube.com. It's a website. It's based in a city called Jaipur, which is the westmost part of India, and the company is almost 19 years old. So I'm working with this company for 19 years. Started as a developer, but then I joined QA as automation engineer way back in 2005. And since then, QA has become, you can say, my job, my life, my passion, and everything. And I started doing manual testing, automation testing. Within 5 or 6 years, I also started looking at what would be the new challenges that come for QA. Developers, yes, there is always a challenge that new technologies, they have to code. QA generally start getting bored that, they are just doing a lot of manual testing or a lot of automation. And that's how I got to know about IoT. And then I realized slowly after I read few articles from internet that IoT is something different. It's not a web-based application. It's not a mobile app. It's sensors. Things are connected with each other wirelessly or physically. Data gets pushed in cloud, and lots of other things are there. And then the problem is I started thinking that how to test these things. And that's where I thought that, yes, that would be a very, very big challenge for the entire QA community across the world. And that's how I started learning IoT and started presenting papers on IoT. This is my 6th paper on IoT. First one I presented in Poland way back in 2017. So I'm happy that I am able to share my ideas with this QA community from South America. And I hope to receive some good questions at the end of this conference today. And so that, I will also gain some knowledge out of it. So my paper titled is A Common Strategy to Test IoT for Different Industries. Why I chose this topic is IoT has widespread everywhere. It is spreaded everywhere. And people always see that when I do IoT testing for one industry, this might be a completely different strategy for a different industry. So if someone is working in IoT testing industries, is there a common set of test cases, let's say, or a common strategy or a test plan or something like that, which you can always use to begin your IoT testing? And then, of course, depending on the industry, you can apply some more test cases to that. And that's how this paper got generated. So before going into some details, let us move through some slides and see that why IoT has become so crucial in our daily lives. Let me give you certain statistics. So in 2015, total number of IoT devices was 3.8 billion. Whereas like your mobiles, your handhelds, iPads, they were 10.1 billion. So it's almost about 2.5 times. You come to the current year, 2021, the number is almost same. 11.6 billion IoT devices and almost 11.6 billion non-IoT devices. And just 4 years from now, the number will almost interchange. So mobiles and other stuff will still be 12.7 billion, whereas IoT devices should increase to 21.5 billion devices. it's fine. But if you see 10 years from 3.8, it reached to 21.5, almost 6 times. But your mobile devices, 10.1, it will just go to 12.7, which is a very small increase given the world population. So this slide should be enough to give you this idea that the speed with which the number of IoT devices are increasing across the world, the developers as well as the testers, they will definitely find lot more challenges, lot more projects, and lot more products. And we are not only a developer or a tester, we are also the end users of IoT products. So you will see more and more IoT devices in our daily lives. And then we also have to see one more thing, and that is the cost value of these. So in 2017, the estimated IoT worth is $170 billion, which is expected to increase $560 billion by next year. So it's such a huge jump, more than thrice the amount will become. So our industries or the companies in which we are working, they cannot say that, oh, we don't work in IoT, because if you do that, that means you are losing something from this $560 billion. Our companies have to, take some part of it. And it is possible only if the developers start learning how to code in IoT and testers will start learning how to test in IoT. Look at some popular IoT applications. Smart homes, the wearables, smart watches, right? Smart cities, smart grids, smart farming, supply chains, retail, health, connected cars. These all are present around us. I am not mentioning these things, which is a futuristic talk. It's not a futuristic talk. All these things are present around us. Most common thing that we all wear is a smartwatch. And this is almost everywhere. Earlier, I think the most popular smartwatches were the Apple watches, right? But now every company, whether it's Samsung or whether it's some other German companies or Korean mobile companies, every company, even MI, Xiaomi, everyone has come out with their own smartwatches. What exactly is a smartwatch? It's an IoT based watch, a watch that works on sensors. So we'll go into more details, but let's see a couple of more slides to give you a better idea. IoT impact on our lives. This is a screenshot I take somewhere from internet, and it just gave me this idea that almost everything that I interact with today has some or the other part IoT enabled. So in home, if you see your entertainment, securities, appliances, they all are sensor based, IoT based, connected. Transport, logistics, parking, all these systems are connected. If you go to communities, so your retail, factories, environment, all these are again same thing. National level, the countries, governments, they are putting their defense, the smart grids, utilities, IoT enabled. You go to medical places, you go to home, you go to education, IoT is almost everywhere. And just to name few areas, there are smart hotel rooms, there are healthcare, which is completely now getting IoT enabled. Agriculture is there, smart homes are there, Amazon Go is a very popular these days, smart wearables, I've already talked about smart watches, and then of course, driverless cars, Tesla, right? So we all heard about Tesla, might be someone of us might own a Tesla as well. It's a driverless car. It's very easy to say it's a driverless car, but I say that it has a driver, but that driver is basically controlled by your IoT sensors or devices, your programmed car. It's a connected car. So these are things which we see every day. We read about them. You go to internet and search about that. You will see millions of articles written on them. So IoT is not something that will become popular in next 5 years. It's already very, very popular. The point is there are very selective companies across the world which work on these devices, which work on these technologies. Most of the companies are still doing, e-commerce sites and other industry specific work, not typical IoT. And that's where this entire description is all about. Now, IoT is becoming popular. Everyone is talking about IoT, but how this is called as an IoT revolution. What exactly is happening which has made IoT so popular? So I take you 10 years back, not too much, and you can see what happened in the last decade, 2010 till 2020. What happened? First thing happened was the electronics started getting smaller, powerful, cheaper, and widely available. I'm basically talking about your mobiles. The size has become smaller, they have become compact, the cost is gone so low, and it is available everywhere. 10 years back, iPhone, when it was popular in America, it's not popular here in India. People don't get iPhone easily. So whenever someone goes to US, we always request him, oh, can you buy an iPhone for me? Can you buy a Mac machine for me? Because I possibly don't get that model here. Or iPhone generally start coming to India a month later when it was launched in America. But in 2021 or 2020, it launched in America 2 days back. And today I can get my iPhone. So that's how it is widely available. And of course, the cost and everything. So this is factor number one. The second factor is a strong and matured internet infrastructure. Think of the internet speeds that you received 10 years back or 12 years back, or when you started learning your IT. I remember my days when internet come through telephone lines, and if someone called me in between, the connection was cut. And then you have to start download again. And from that day, 15 years now, we are talking about 5G. The mobile calling cost was such high that if someone requests you, can I make a call? We don't allow him because the cost was too high. And today we just do international calls easily. There was no WhatsApp at that time. So many things happened in last 10 years. If you think about, so many industries have come up. There was Uber, there was Airbnb, there is Ola. So many things happened in last 10, 15 years. It all happened because there is a very matured internet infrastructure that was fueling this revolution. Without internet, how today's application would work? It's not possible, right? And the third thing is, internet adopted IPv6. And what it happens is, so earlier, total number of addresses available was 4.3 billion. And with this adoption, this has increased to 3.4 into 10 to the power 38 addresses. And why I'm talking about addresses? Every IoT device on internet has to have a unique identity. It has to have a unique ID. So one device should be given to one address. If I'm talking about so many billions of devices across the internet, if any two devices share the same address, how you will differentiate them? So that's why it is compulsory, it is mandatory that every device has to given a specific address. Now, total number of addresses available to me now is 3.4 followed by 38 zeros. I can't read that number. I can't say so much billions and millions and trillions. I don't know. But it's a common analogy that every atom on this earth can be given an address from this, and still you will have 2 or 3 more planets who can use their atoms to receive addresses from this number. That's a common strategy that they calculated from this. So now you can imagine how big this number is. And so a combination of all these three, availability of mobiles everywhere, availability of a very strong internet infrastructure everywhere, right? All the big cities you go, internet is everywhere. You go to villages, internet is still there. Might be the speeds are a bit slow. Instead of 5G, you will see a 4G or 3G, but yes, internet is there. Everyone now has a smartphone. No one uses that old Nokia phones, which has a light and a keypad, but no screen to see anything. And of course, this IPv6. These three combinations combine together and make this IoT not just an IoT technology, rather an IoT revolution. And again, I picked this image from internet. So within next 5 years, you can see the world population will reach to 7.6 billion, but IoT will possibly go to 50 billion. That's again, someone calculated these numbers. So I thought it's a good image, but that will give us a clear picture of where we are moving in terms of technology. What exactly is IoT? So far I'm talking about such complicated things, and suddenly I came up with this simple slide. There is a mobile which has a dashboard or something. There is cloud. We all know cloud. And then there are devices, right? So I sit in my car, I press a button on my mobile, and my air conditioner in my house becomes on or off. As simple as this. So then what is the complexity here? Why this presentation is made telling us that, IoT is pretty complex in testing and IoT is very complex to create. The structure is very easy. A mobile app, a cloud, mobile app is connected to cloud and cloud is connected to devices. Wow. So if you just search for IoT definition on internet, it is a very simple internet definition that it is the concept of establishing a connection among devices and then communicating with them over the internet using a mobile app or a web browser. Pretty easy, right? So everyone can think that, wow, that's easy. We can test all kind of IoT applications now, but let us move forward. You guys understand what this is? This is a coffee machine, a cappuccino coffee machine. This is a old style coffee machines, which I saw somewhere in, I think, Spain, 2014 or 15. And it was present there as a model. So no one is using this to get his coffee, but this was just put there on a display. And that gave me an idea that if you go to such coffee machine and you want to have a coffee, it doesn't matter on which day you are going to drink coffee, whether it's Monday or it's Friday or it's Sunday, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what mood you are in. You are very happy mood, Argentina or Uruguay just won a football match. You guys are very, very happy. Or you lost your football match and you guys are very sad. Oh, we lost the football match. We lost to Brazil and they are our competitors. But you will always receive same kind of coffee, regardless of you are happy or you are sad. What will be your steps? First step is you go to the dispenser. Second step is you select your option. Let's say you press button number 2. You put your cup below that. The drink comes out. You enjoy your drink. Clear 5 steps, right? From a simple user perspective, as a QA, I see how to receive coffee. You have to do this 5 steps. You try the same steps tomorrow. You try the same steps 6 months after. You try the same steps 2 years later. You will always receive same experience. You will not receive any different kind of experience. So this is an old machine. What are the latest machines today? All the machines today, and you have seen them as an end user, they are customer focused. Every machine, whether it's I would say a train, whether it's a elevator, whether it's an escalator, whether it's online gaming, everything is now made keeping in mind that there are customers who are using that. So you all must have heard about UI and UX, right? User interface and user experience, UX. So we all want that our software is used by, should have a very good user experience. So how IoT does the same coffee machine? 2 things we need to focus on. First, bring a dynamic UX in the system. We cannot have the static machine always. It has to be dynamic. And second, we have to produce valuable data. What is today's, I would say, someone is strong and someone is not strong. Some country has a power and some country has less power. Earlier, this thing means your military power or your money power. But these days, a third power has come, which is the data power. How much data you have about other people, how about other countries. Data is very, very crucial in every aspect. Even, earlier when I always take example of football because Uruguay is a football loving nation. Earlier football was right. Okay, we are playing against Brazil and Pele is a great player. Okay, we all know Pele was a great player. Then there was another team from Brazil, right? When we say that, okay, Ronaldo was there or Ronaldinho was there or some other players, I remember. Argentina has, let's say, Messi there. But these are players. Now, it's not just about a particular player, it's about technology. So when, let's say, Messi runs, there is a lot of technology around Messi, which Uruguay national team might be looking in their laptops. They see all the possible angles that Messi runs through. So how this entire data is collected? There are sensors around the world which are basically producing this valuable data. And then there are algorithms prepared by various companies, prepared by various countries who work on this data and then find some patterns. You all have heard about artificial intelligence, machine learning, pattern matching. These things come from here. But all these technologies will work on one thing, data. If you don't have data, how will you create patterns? And that data comes from what? The data comes from the sensors which are scattered across the world. In every aspect, you go shopping, sensors are there. You go playing, sensors are there. You go to education, you go fly, anywhere, there are sensors. Without us knowing that there are sensors, and they are collecting our data. So we need to focus on these two. Now see how the coffee machine has changed. So the diagram is different. It's a different coffee machine now. But when you go to this coffee machine, there is a camera on top of it, which immediately captures your pic, your face. The face is pushed into a cloud. Your screens, your old faces were there. A match is done and your machine instantly say, welcome Vipin Jain. And I am like, oh, wow, this machine knows me, right? And you are suddenly attracted towards the machine. So you are looking at your mobile and you just hear, welcome Vipin Jain. Who speak that? Who spoke that? Oh, that's the machine, right? So you go to the machine and imagine the machine says, hey Vipin, this is Monday, 9 a.m. Do you want your old cappuccino with a double shot of espresso, something like that? And you think, wow, this machine knows what coffee I drink on Monday mornings. And then you go to Friday evening when you are very happy that after 1 hour, the office is getting over and I'm going outside, spending my weekend with my friends, go to bar, eat, all the, my favorite food and drink some beer. So at that time, I generally go for a light coffee, a latte or, a frappe or something. And imagine the machine says, hey Vipin, ready for weekend football? Here is your frappe. Just press the button. Come on, how this machine knows that? Because it is recording every action of mine and pushing in the clouds constantly. So all my last year of coffee drinking is being now recorded. So when the machine checks that, okay, it's Friday, it just compares that data with the cloud data and it sees that 9 out of 10 times, Vipin always go for a lighter coffee on Friday. So it will just show me that Vipin, it's Friday. Can you go do you want for a lighter coffee or your dark coffee? Right? So that's how this machine. Now imagine this is just a coffee machine. Imagine your car, imagine your house door, imagine your television. If they all start talking to you, and there are so many things which are already talking to us, right? We have these Google Minis, we have Alexa. What are these? They all are devices which are looking at us and then they are talking to us. So you don't actually need people now. You start talking to machines, but that's how IoT is. So IoT doesn't work only on IoT. It is like providing all the things to other higher things like AI and other stuff, which I already talked about. But the most crucial thing here is the data. And that is where IoT testing has become complex. As I mentioned, data is very, very crucial for user experience. Just this coffee machine, I try to put some data here, what exactly it collects. And you will be astonished to see how much data can be collected for just 1 cup of coffee. Check it out. It's context. So technology, demography, place, season, time of the day of the week, the usage. Whether you are a lone user in front of the machine or there is a long queue. What weekday you are here? Is it summer, spring, fall? Are you in a office, restaurant or mall? Which country, which state, right? This is one area. The other area, your persona. This is about you. Age group. Are you a kid, young, or a elderly person? What's your gender? Male, female? Emotions. Are you happy? You are smiling. Are you a sad face? You are angry. You are pressing buttons hard because you are angry. Your work is not completing. Your boss is angry with you. So you obviously don't go to the coffee machine and press it delicately. You just say, I need a coffee. Come on, hit twice. Right? It records everything. And what else? The interaction. So the displaying options on this. That means a user will always have a different experience based on the data that is getting collected and analyzed. So you don't have to press same buttons again because the machine is already ready with what exactly you want. So you will just say yes. So you put your machine cup under the nozzle. The machine will already talking to you. Hey Vipin, it's Monday morning, dark coffee with a double shot of Nescafe. And you just say yes. Otherwise, you would have pressed coffee, then you say black coffee, then you say 2 shots. So you don't have to do all these clicks. Just say yes, and your coffee is ready. So user felt like, oh wow, that's a great technology. Now put your QA caps on your head and start thinking, if this coffee machine comes to you to test, will it be the normal testing that you do for your online e-commerce apps or your mobile apps? What is the difference? The difference is, to test e-commerce apps, you can create a sample app or a testing environment in your own computer, and then you provide different types of data to test it. But to test IoT apps, you have to actually experience it to experiment it. Assuming you have to test the Tesla car, you have to sit in the car, right? To actually feel how the car is working, and then use your mobile to do all the kind of command stuff, and then see whether the car is behaving accordingly or not. If you want to see how to test your smartwatch, you are running. Let's say you started running in the morning, and your watch is showing that, oh, you have burned 2000 calories, and you have already ran like 2000 steps. Are you counting those steps in your mind? No. The watch is showing that your heartbeat is 100 is your heartbeat. Are you using a stethoscope, putting in air and applying on your chest and measuring whether your blood pressure or your heartbeat or your calories, everything is correct? We just believe that whatever my smartwatch is showing is correct, right? It's a belief. But then if I have to test it, how to do that? Put your smartwatch here, start running, keep a count. Okay, I ran 1000 steps, stop immediately, check your smartwatch, whether it is showing 1000 or not. This is one test. Imagine there are 1000 different test cases. How much time you run? Imagine I want to do a load testing. So how you do a load testing on a smartwatch? So don't run straight. Go like this, climb your way. Your step size will change. You are running on a rainy day, the ground is slippery, your step size will decrease. You are going downhill, your step size again decrease. So different times, my step can be 1 meter apart, or it can be a few inches apart, because it depends on if I'm tired or not, whether your watch is giving correct results in all of these scenarios. So you have to experiment it, but to experiment it, you actually have to experience it. Sit in a Tesla car, wear a smartwatch, do your testing, check online, and other stuff. So it's a different approach of your testing. Of course, there will be test cases, there will be test scenarios, there will be bugs. These are all the normal QA cycles that we know. But then your approach towards testing has to change. I'll give you more examples. Challenges we talk about now. So IoT is made up of 3 simple things. I think possibly everything is made up of 3 simple things. There is a hardware, there is a software, and there is connectivity, right? We all do a connection between them. But this is always, it's even for my e-commerce websites. Here the thing is, you need to test everything. In normal e-commerce websites, I test software, I test connectivity, but do I test hardware also? No, because this is just running on a server and I can just go open the browser and type in the URL and the software opens for me. So I not concerned about where Amazon website is placed on server and what is the configuration of that server. I don't consider that. For me, it's a software and a connectivity. But here, the important thing is you have to test hardware also. What has changed? The testing process has to change. It has changed, in fact. Why? Data is coming from all the directions. That is a big problem. Again, you compare to e-commerce website, data is always coming from a single side. But here the data is coming from all the directions. There are devices which produce data. And you have to carry out testing in the field. As I said, you have to run to get the data. So you have to test in field. And you require more user experience here. The other thing is you have to do a lot of, you have to find specific people to do that. For example, if I need to test a device which can control my heartbeat, I need to find people on which I can put that device in their heart, and then I can monitor their data. So you need to find dedicated runners also. And similarly, you need to work with some subject matter experts. If you have to work with, let's say, medical devices, you need to find people who understand about medical devices. This is a sample test case that I have used in my project. This is a screenshot. If you see what are the steps, for example, I'm looking at step number 3. Verify the health fitness device active readings, steps, speed, and direction. Initial thing, step should display 0, distance should read 0 miles, speed should reflect 0 miles per hour, direction should reflect null. You have to create test cases like that. It's a different style of thing. If you see the last line of step number 4, verify activity readings of device while test subject is still jogging. You have to actually physically jog and then someone is recording your data. Challenges with all this. So use cases have become complex. There is a real-time responsiveness, which is very, very important, right? If someone is a heart patient and he is running with a smartwatch, the smartwatch has to transfer the data to the medical servers real time. You cannot wait, let's say, okay, this data goes after 15 minutes. The person may die within those 15 minutes if he collapses, right? A Tesla car is running and let's say it sees an accident. You cannot wait for the data to go in the Tesla car servers after half an hour. It has to go immediately, because if it doesn't go, the Tesla car will not understand whether there is a road is turning or whether there is a car stopping in front of you. It has to be dynamic. Performance needs to be very fast response. I just talked about. We need a lot of data security. Of course, when so much data is getting produced, the data security and privacy has to be there. Different protocols, I'll talk about that. Different protocols are coming in the market, MQTTs, XMPPs. The big problem is these protocols have to be compatible with each other. If they are not compatible, they will not talk. They will not transfer data between each other. So your connection may break if the protocols are not compatible. And then you require a support for, because I said there is a lot of volume, a huge amount of data, a huge variety of data coming. So we need to tackle all of these things with, of course, IoT apps and devices. And I talked about this sensor interactions already. A protocol simulators are generally done. So this is a simulator where you can see what all is happening. So it collects data from smart devices. The data is sent to cloud where it is aggregated. A real-time analysis happens on that data. Patterns are extracted from that analysis. And then there are engineers who create algorithms which work on that data and produces important results, which are further sent to different people. And finally, every execution happens in cloud. So that is the sort of connectivity we are talking about. So when we are testing this, you need to test all of these steps. So you have to find ways that whether the aggregation in cloud happens correctly, is the real-time analysis producing correct results, whether the patterns extracted are correct or not, Whether the algorithms are correct, you need to test those algorithms individually as well. This is a very common diagram that we use internally. So when I said that two devices coming from two different vendors, right? Let's say vendor A device is not working correctly and I want to put vendor B device there. What you have to do? So you have something called as a data recorder. You record the data coming from device one and push all the data into a cloud or repository. Then to check whether the devices are correct or not, you now run the same data on device 2 and interchange them. So if there is no problem, your data from recorder 1 works fine with recorder 2 or device 2, sorry. Data from device 1 works well on device 2. But if the devices are not compatible with each other, errors will be produced. And you know that my connection is not correct. So that's how we use, this is a block diagram which we use. And then the third is virtualization. In many test cases, we actually create virtual environments. So because IoT ecosystem is not possible to create a real environment. For example, if you are doing a gaming, for example, or a driverless cars, there are a lot of virtual things that we do. So that we know. So this helps in a faster turnaround and reduce costs as well. What are the test cases that you can run? And this is, again, I'm not talking about any particular industry. These test cases can be used, these tests can be used anywhere in any industry that you want. Generally, IoT things are made up of 4 different layers. There is an application layer, there is a service layer, there are a network layer, and then the sensors, the actual physical layer. What are the tests that can be executed? For application layer, you need to execute your localization tests, APIs, functionality, compatibility, and usability. These 5 types of tests are the best candidates at the application level. When we talk about service layers, first thing I have to execute is interoperability. Two devices giving same service, can they be interchanged? Can I remove one device and put the other device in its place? And does it still work? Of course, there are APIs because APIs facilitate the communication between two devices. And then, of course, the functionality, the end-to-end functionality you have to check. When you talk about gateways or networks, you have to check about network connectivity, because if connectivity breaks, everything will stop. And you also have to check about network compatibility. This is where your protocols come in picture. Your protocols should also communicate with each other, right? If something is, data is going from, let's say, India to Europe, maybe Indian protocol should be talking to the European protocol. If it is not, then data is stopped at Indian borders. So my connection won't be successful. And the sensor layer, the function. So you have to test the functionality. You have to test the security. If my device goes in hand of some other hacker, he can, just tweak with the device and the device start producing wrong data, which is, of course, itself is a problem. So you can perform performance test. You have to perform security. You have to perform compliance, because different countries have different rules about the data. If it is UK, GDPR is popular in UK. You cannot use their data outside their country. So you have to look at compliance test, interoperability I talked about, and then privacy and analytics. So you have to develop test cases around all of these different testing areas. So this is not just about functionality. It covers a lot many things. I just quickly take a healthcare project test example where I show that how these tests are written and what exactly we test. When I talk about usability, so healthcare devices should be portable. So if you are giving me a device which helps in controlling my heartbeat and the device is not working correctly, there has to be an immediate replacement. And if the replacement is coming from a different company, that should still work with my heart, because you cannot say that, oh, sorry, this device is not available. You can come back after 4 days to get the new device. The patient can die. The cost of failure in one IoT test case can be a death of someone. A Tesla car can go with an accident. A healthcare device can stop functioning, right? So that is why IoT testing is crucial. The devices should be smart to push notifications. If my heart is not running correctly, the device should push notification to a doctor's mobile immediately. And doctor can then call me or my family members. Similarly, every event should be logged. We all know about, right? Logging. Logs have to be there so that we can debug something at a later stage. And then everything should be displayable. I can read that on my mobile and other stuff. Similarly, when you talk about security testing, I don't want my personal heartbeat data go to public. This is my personal data, right? So this has to be secured. Data can be stolen anywhere. So we know that it has to be encrypted. It has to be password protected, everything. All about security testing you have to do. About connectivity, very, very crucial again. The system should be up all the times. If by chance the system goes down, there should be immediate backup available. So from live connection, it should run on battery. And as soon as the live comes back, the battery should be go back to live and battery should be recharged automatically. You cannot afford a stoppage in between this. And there has to be alerts and everything there. Pilot testing we performed. We did a lot of real life testing. We cannot do a lab testing, many things don't work inside a lab. So we actually used it physically, many places. Other type of testing, we did a lot of performance testing. You have to do this. Your application should be scalable. So you cannot say that, oh, my IoT devices will work only for a small hospital where 200 patients can come. What about a hospital where 2000 patients can go? Whether it cannot be IoT based, it can be. Your application should be scalable. And similarly, you have to do a lot of other parameters like system usage, power usage, temperatures, everything. And then compatibility, I already talked about. There should not be no error which says that operating systems are not compatible, or this thing works in Internet Explorer but doesn't work in Chrome, or it works on Bluetooth 2.0 but doesn't work on Bluetooth 3.0. These errors I cannot afford. My card should work with all kinds of Bluetooth. My heart should work with all kinds of operating systems. You cannot afford that these things work and these not. On e-commerce websites, it's fine. If it runs in Chrome and doesn't work in Firefox, no problem, because e-commerce will still happen. I can still buy a product. And finally, we have to do regulatory testing because different countries have different kind of rules. So you have to follow that also. And last is upgrade testing. Since an entire IoT ecosystem is made up of lots of components which come from different vendors, if one vendor provide an update to a software update to his device, the other devices should still be compatible to that update. Because right now the devices are same, but then one device is upgraded to a new version. You cannot say that, oh, sorry, I upgraded that, so now this connection doesn't work. Your connection will break. Because IoT is connection of protocols, devices, operating system, firmwares, hardware, and network layers. All have to be compatible. If any one of them breaks or is upgraded, immediately the other have to be upgraded or downgraded to make that connection possible. And whenever this happens, there has to be a detailed end-to-end testing that should happen to make sure right from device till the cloud, from the cloud to my mobile data, mobile application, every data should move seamlessly and correct. Data should come on time and data always have to be correct. Because if correct data doesn't reach me, it's a problem. If data is correct, but connection is slow, it's a problem. If connection is too fast, but data is wrong, it still is a problem. So all of them has to work. So now, possibly I have come to the end of my discussion that I wanted to have with you guys. These are some image credits which I used from internet quickly. And me and my wife, we both are authors of this paper, but I am presenting, hence I am here speaking. She's not there, but I want to give her due credits for helping me in writing this paper as well. She's a professor in computer science and I work in real life IT projects. So kind of we both help each other. She gives me concepts and I apply them in real life, but that's her. So you can follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter, And if there are any queries you want to still keep in touch with me, the email addresses are written. You can use them and talk to us whenever you want. And thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening me. And thanks for this opportunity. And I hope to see you live one day soon. Thank you. I am open to all kind of questions that you guys have.
Thank you, Vipin. Okay, well, this is questions time. So everyone that may have a question could raise his hand or her hand in the Zoom taskbar, or can write it in the chat, and we will share it with Vipin. Well, thank you, Vipin, from Flavia. Okay, while the people is thinking.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you from a lot of people. Great talk from Ursula. Eugenio also thanking Ainara, Lucas. Well, yeah, thank you for the talk again. And you mentioned like usual examples using IoT. So the impact that may have the IoT in our common stuffs might be huge. I don't know if you could share with us what are your thinkings or your thoughts about the next years regarding the IoT stuff and testing. Where do you think we are going through this?
That's in fact, it's a very good question, and glad that you raised this question, because I can still talk for 2 more minutes on this topic. So IoT is here to stay. Why I'm saying that is, just see around you, right? Every small kid has a mobile in their hand, first of all. So that's where the power to IoT is actually coming. And then there are a lot of industries, popular industries I'm talking about, which are still experimenting with IoT. There are so many countries which are still not developed nations. Even India is not yet developed. India doesn't still have smart cities, although many of our applications has now become smarter. But a true definition of smart city where everything is, sensors and everything, that is still not there. We see those things in scientific movies where, there is a world towards robotics and other stuff. But why I'm saying that IoT is here to stay is the last 1.5 years that we all have witnessed this pandemic area. All these pandemic things, of course, good and bad, everything happened in this world. And we are the lucky people, at least because we are IT guys. So our jobs continued. And I think we all got our salaries on time, luckily. But many businesses just, crashed because those businesses were human businesses. People have to physically go to them to have the business running. Now what has happened is that human factor is gone, and an interactive, I would say, interface has come in front of all of us. And that interface is electronically controlled. So I just know a person who is a diabetic patient, right? He is, I think, 43 or 44 years old, younger than me. And what has happened is, because he is diabetic, he has to take that insulin injection every day. So there is a small strip which comes, which you can just put on your stomach with a pin. And then you put a sensor here on your wrist, which is constantly checking your blood sugar level. And the person is working. He's just going as a normal guy. He goes to his office and everything. But 24 hours constantly, he's walking, he's sleeping, he's working, he's talking, whatever he's doing. His blood sugar level is constantly getting collected and pushed to a server. And then there are different algorithms happening on the server which say that as soon as the blood sugar level goes down a certain value, it triggers that patch which is placed on the stomach inside his shirt, and the patch just injects insulin inside his body. So this is a real life thing. I have seen that. And you can read about this on internet if you don't know about that. But this has helped now a patient who can walk freely across the world. A person who is free of always keeping medicine into his pocket. And his family members in his home are sitting relaxed. They know that whatever happens, they can get immediate calls. And the person gets medicine immediately. Right? This is one person with one disease, and diabetes is a disease across the world. So now you think, if this experiment is successful, every person in this world who is diabetic and who is, afraid of going everywhere because he thinks that if I eat too much, my diabetes will increase. If I eat sweets, my diabetes will increase. He doesn't know when his diabetes go up and go down. Now he's free that, okay, this device is taking control of everything. Only if the device is developed and tested properly. Right? This is one area I talked about. Now you imagine a heart patient. You imagine huge, I went to a store, Amazon Go, right? Now, generally what happens in normal stores, when you go and let's say you went to buy, take a real example, a shampoo bottle, we use shampoos. So everyone has a particular brand, right? You just go to that store, you ask, is that brand available? He say, oh yes, go to that counter. You went there in the shelf and you see only one bottle left, right? And someone else has just taken before you. So right now what happens? There are people who are working in the store who keep moving across the store, and then they see, oh, the shelf is empty. So they just write something, go back, and then they bring the supplies and put it on the store. How Amazon Go works, if you have not seen that, there are sensors in every shelf. As soon as the sensor puts the value in the backend office that the number of bottles from 6, it has become 5. That is the threshold, that is the triggering value. And immediately someone will come and put extra 5 bottles, which means whenever a consumer goes, he will never see the shelf empty. And you don't have to even ask someone that where that thing is, because as soon as you enter the store on your mobile app of that store, you just select what you want and it will display in which store, which area, which shelf that value that is present and what is the today's price, because there are so many shopping discounts that happen. So you can always check the price as well. So you want to go with this experience, or you want to go with the previous experience where, oh, the shelf is empty and you are standing in long queues waiting for that thing to come to you. And sometimes you come back disappointed that I want to buy that, but that was not available. And then you go to online things where you buy costly items, or, shipping cost and other stuff. So these are two examples I gave you, which are real life things. Imagine these things spreaded across the world. And then imagine the amount of money involved. And then imagine the number of companies that are working on these type of projects in different countries. And then imagine the challenges that come to you, because we are the IT guys. Some way or the other, we will be involved in these projects. If not my company, maybe your company. Some or the other companies, some or the other testers will be testing these apps. So if we don't start preparing today, we are already late. But if we don't start preparing today, we will be possibly find ourselves maybe losing a big technical revolution that is happening right now. Of course, our jobs will continue because there are other apps as well. But this is something which will take this world by a storm. So you cannot say that, oh, I don't care about IoT, I don't use IoT apps. That's a false thing. Everywhere you are already using IoT apps without knowing IoT has entered your houses. It is there everywhere around you. We have not noticed it yet. If you have not noticed it, start noticing it from today. If you are already work on IoT projects, brilliant. Because this is something that will go. And the world today doesn't want a single technology. Remember that. You cannot be just a plain manual tester. You cannot be, if you are an automation tester, great. But you cannot say, I only know Selenium. I know how to automate iOS app, but I don't know Android apps. You cannot say that. You have to be now, there is a saying, jack of all trades, master of none, right? if you are not master of everything, you can still survive, but you have to be a jack of all trades.
That's huge and awesome at the same time. Thank you very much, Vipin, for sharing that with us. We are already on time, and well, thank you all for your time again. Thank you, Vipin, for sharing your knowledge with us.
One quick request can I make to all of you?
Yeah. Go ahead.
If guys can just switch on their videos if possible, so it would be good to see all of you, like whom I was talking to. If it's possible for you guys, if not, I'm happy.
Yeah, maybe we have
just to see people from around the world to other corner of the world. Yeah, good to see you guys. Good to see you. That looks like a real conference now. Physical faces, real faces. Thank you all. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Vipin, and well, see you in the next Testing GUI activity. So thank you again for joining us, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Stay safe, all of you. Bye.